That's the side that I'm saying I was in prison before I went to prison.
Right.
Why? Because I'm getting money. And what am I doing with the money? I'm living and glorifying the things that put me in prison. You listen to the music today, it's prison. And I'm talking down to your mayor, your councilman, to the governor, to the vice president, to the president, any elected official that's on that ballot that you are voting for. What is their agenda?
That's
and
right.
I guarantee you 95% of the individuals cannot tell you that. This is the year of exposure.
Right.
Everything is being exposed.
And so
now.
we exposing them.
Exposing it. The music industry is about to go through the biggest
That's right.
upside down that it's ever experienced.
We're here for the introduction of InNOut. It's a movement to change the world. It represents all things and all of us at all times. It's about freeing ourselves of any prison.
Welcome to InNOut Podcast, where I have dope conversations with incredible people who have been released from some form of prison. I am Eric Gerald, your host, and today I'm talking with my guest, Jermaine Aldred, as he takes us along his incredible journey of overcoming hardship, pain, and struggle. And he shows us how he overcame amazing odds to achieve great success. What's happening, Jermaine? How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I want to thank you
Absolutely.
for taking the time to come in here, have this conversation with me, take us along this journey, make an impact on other people. And first, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
Well, first, I go by Jermaine, but my official name is Aaron Jermaine Aldred.
Okay.
Being that my father, me, and my son have the same name, we go by our middle names. Originally born and raised Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and came to Atlanta to start manhood. And along that journey is where life began. So we'll dive deep into all of those moving parts. But brother, I'm excited to share my story, to let it be pretty much coming from my point of view and not somebody else telling it. Because a lot of us, we hear individual stories from other people. We don't actually hear it from them. And I feel that my story is going to be impactful in many, many ways because I lived it. So I know how I can influence, how I can motivate, how I can teach, how I can raise, how I can do all of those characteristics that will be beneficial to not just young men, but individuals, period.
Right. Yeah, that's no joke. That's impressive. And in all transparency, Jermaine and I, we do know each other. We were actually locked up together, and Jermaine and I were running into each other on occasion because our children ended up going to the same school.
Absolutely.
And I know during that time, and let me say this, brother, in my eyes, and I'm sure in many people's eyes, you're a tremendous success just because, like myself, you're able to come home from being incarcerated, maintain your family, have your children in school. I already know that you have your children are thriving, they're doing well.
Yes.
Your daughter graduated
Yes.
From Drew as well as your son.
Yes.
And, I want you to tell us a little bit about that, but then tell us some of the other things that you got going on, some of the things that you're doing.
Well, first, being a family man. Let's just start there.
Right.
When I came to Atlanta in 1990, I met my wife when I became 21 years old. Okay. I came here at 18, 19 years old.
Right.
Within a year, within a year, I met my wife.
Wow.
Okay. We've been together ever since.
A blessing.
That's a rare situation. I've been with this woman for over 30 years.
Wow. And a true blessing.
True blessing. And and let's be mindful. I didn't know what that was. Didn't know the opportunity that I was being blessed with.
When y'all met?
When we met. Okay. But a good friend of mine, he said, "Man, that's your wife." He told me that out the gate.
Wow.
That's your wife. Don't get it messed up. That's your wife. But let the story be told. So when it came to raising our kids, when it became to being a father, when it came to being a husband, there's no book, there's no movie.
That's right.
It's experiencing it. It's going through that journey. And fortunate, we had the same identical thing. Both of us were raised by our grandparents.
Wow.
And we wanted to have an ideal life for our kids. And anyone that knows me, they know the type of father that I am. I don't take that lightly. I stand on that. Why? Because I didn't have that representation of a father. And I know for a fact, maybe 1 out of 2 guys that I knew growing up had the father in the house. That was it. That was it. So being a father meant everything to me. Wow. It meant me breathing. It meant me living. It meant me being happy. And raising my kids is really my joy. I tell people all the time, hey, I've made a lot of money, man. You've made a lot of money. And that was the reason why we were incarcerated, because we were actually trying to make money. But my riches was never in money. My riches is in my family.
Right.
My riches is in those kids. And now that I have a grandbaby, it just continues on. So I'm blessed to have great kids, to be in their life. And the one thing I can say upon being incarcerated, because I don't know what most people's journey was when they got locked up, but what mine was, I actually had to turn myself in. Okay. That was the biggest that was the biggest thing I've ever did in my life that I felt was the hardest at the same time, because you actually have to go turn yourself into prison.
Right.
Imagine walking down that road.
Right.
And my family took me there. We traveled together. We took that journey up to Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
At Maxwell Air Force Base.
Right.
And as I was turning myself in, it was just a overwhelming experience. It was, I can't even describe how I was feeling at that time. So emotional. But as I'm getting out the car, and I'm hugging my kids and I'm hugging my wife, and I'll never forget these words. I told all of them, I looked them in their eyes and I said, be the best that you can be. Be the best that you can be. And I walked through those gates. And being mindful, brother, as I think about it now, I was in prison way before I went to prison.
Right. How so? What do you mean by that?
Mentally. I wasn't free. I wasn't free here. I wasn't free in my mind. And a lot of people don't understand that. I didn't go to prison for what I got caught for.
Right.
I went to prison for all the other things. I was already in prison. Why? Because I was locked in a certain mindset.
Right.
Prison is a mindset.
Ain't no question.
I was locked in a certain mindset that I thought was freedom, and it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. I had to identify with who Jermaine was. I had to find out who Jermaine was. I had to actually kill the identity of what I became that put me in prison.
I'm glad you said it. And to that point, as you were speaking,
yes,
just a few minutes ago, you mentioned that you and I, and so many of us, ended up in prison because we were out there, we was on the money chase.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's a certain mindset.
That's it.
Right?
That's a mindset.
And I know that you also mentioned that, I just saw in some earlier notes before we had this interview that when you go to prison, you gotta kill a portion of yourself in order to really find yourself.
That's it.
Tell us about that. And, did that take place with you before you actually went to prison? Because you said you had to turn yourself in?
Yeah.
Did you already start thinking in that direction before you even got to prison?
No, I had no idea. I didn't even know what that process was. I didn't even know. I was numb, because one thing I can say, I was immature of the identity of what a real man was. And this goes back and as I was speaking and as before some of the notes that you have, it goes back to fathers.
There you go.
The absence, man. I cannot stress that any father, that with the absence of men not having their fathers, the decisions that we make put us in the places that we were in.
Right.
Because you don't have guidance. You don't have someone to have that voice of reasoning. Okay, you have people that are in your life, and I'm not making an excuse for you making those wrong decisions, but it is very, very important to have guidance, to have someone that was in your ear when you was making the wrong decisions.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I said I had to kill that person that I had developed over the years
Right.
that got me incarcerated, I didn't even know who the hell he was until I was able to identify him
Right.
in prison.
Right.
Because the one thing you know that I know, when you're in prison and you're against that wall and you sleeping by yourself at night, you dealing with you
Every night.
every night.
Yeah.
And as you're dealing with you, you start peeling away the layers and then saying, oh, okay, I see you now. You're that guy. You're the one that made those decisions. You're the one that made me where I'm at right now.
Right.
I need to kill you. I need to put you to rest. You know, and it's not one person that I've met that was lacking education, passion, or some of the other characteristics that make them great. It was their decision making. It was the living in what the world thought they should be,
Right.
or who they thought they should be on the streets, or those certain images that we quote unquote glorify
Right.
on the streets.
Right.
That's what it was.
Right.
It wasn't the man. That's the side that I'm saying I was in prison before I went to prison.
Right.
Why? Because I'm getting money. And what am I doing with the money? I'm living and glorifying the things that put me in prison. You listen to the music today, it's prison. And you know, I tell people all the time, they say, hey, well, I can't believe they got artists like Sexy Red or all of these other artists and these women, and they talking the way they. I can identify with every mall I go to. I see Sexy Red.
Right.
I
Immediately.
can identify with that person, and the young ladies that love her can identify with her.
Right. Ain't no question.
They can identify with her.
That's right.
But it's not the Sexy Reds. It's bigger than that, because they promote that.
Yeah.
They want that to be identified as who we are.
Right. And that becomes a part of our diet.
Yes.
And I tell people all the time, which I've learned from listening to different people that have an influence on me. Some of those people are people I personally know, and some of them are people that I listen to. And it's about a diet. I learned you have to have a winning diet.
Correct.
A diet is everything that your eyes are able to see, everything that your ears take into. Is not just what you eat physically. It's
That's
what
right.
we listen to.
Yeah.
It's what has influences on us. Like I'm extremely excited about doing this podcast because it's so easy. Because what I've learned, what I've realized, is just as you spoke about, which we're going to get to, is as you say, you do motivational speaking, and one of the reasons why you do motivational speaking is not only to have an impact on others, but also to have an impact on yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I'm learning more and more that one of the things about doing this podcast and having conversations with unique individuals such as yourself is that it's also helping me, because it's a continual process of peeling back these layers.
Yes, sir.
And continue to grow.
Yes, sir.
Like, yes, I grew when I was in prison, but I'm continuing to grow when I speak to brothers like yourself, because we're constantly, just evaluating and trying to grow, trying to make an impact on others, but improving ourselves on a constant basis. So we cooking with hot grease now.
Yes, sir.
I want to get back to what you were talking about. You said that mindset, and so many of us, whether it's men or women, in our case it's men,
Correct.
ended up in prison because we didn't have no father figure. We
it.
didn't have that father figure in our lives. And for a lot of times, a woman might have not had a father figure or a mother figure, and and vice versa. So I know you were raised by your grandparents, but why? Where were your parents?
Well, and see, you gotta really, and this is where the root starts, because at that particular time, and at the age bracket that I'm in, I'm over 50 years old. I was born in 1971.
Right.
And being in that age bracket when I was a teenager growing up in the 80s, this is when crack hit.
Wow.
Okay, this is when and people don't understand. They can say, oh, there was that time, this is that time, but there's a generational effect that transcends what happens when these particular areas hit our communities. This is a fact. My mother was dealing with drugs. My father dealing with drugs. Okay. So what do you think the outcome of me would be?
In which way were they dealing with drugs?
My mother was on crack.
Okay.
And I, as a young man at the age of 13, I'm running into crack houses to get my mother. Can you understand the mental capacity of where I'm at
Wow.
that age? How could one develop a positive personality? How could one thrive to be great when you're dealing with these things at 13 years old?
Wow.
No father there because why? He's also indulging. So I don't know how to treat or how to have a relationship with the woman because I have no representation of what a real relationship should be. Right?
Right. No
So
question.
at the age of 14, what happens to me? I have my first child.
Wow.
At the age of 14, I'm a child.
You're a child having a
I'm
child.
a child having
Right.
a child. So what's going to happen to her? Because I'm a child still. I don't have nothing inside of me that will give her what she needs because I'm 14 years old. Now, this comes back to me now understanding that, hey, you have a father who was on drugs. You have a mother who was on drugs. And I lost my father a year or so after incarceration.
Wow.
I still have my mother. And I have a grandmother. And in my generation, I guarantee you that percentage of men and women that was raised by their grandparents is very high. Because the crack epidemic destroyed the backbone of family. And I'm not talking racial barriers. I'm talking about period.
Right.
Period. I don't care what color you are. Period. This is a fact. This is what happened in my time. I was going into elementary and I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking about, hey, they came into our communities and I was actually on that bus as a child going to another area, which is miles away from my home. So I'm not going to school with my race. I'm going to school with other races because that was the time when they was actually going into the inner cities, taking the black kids and putting them over to the schools with the white kids. I didn't understand that then, but as I grow older and I started to learn and read, and now I'm developing all of the information and I'm processing the information. So when we're talking about parenting, we're talking about fathers. Now, look at the decisions that I made because of that start. Would I have made those decisions if I had identified with my parents at a young age?
Right.
I don't think so. And I'm not making an excuse for those decisions, but this is a fact. And we have to talk about it.
We have to
talk about it. People want to just, oh, no, you're grown. You make your own decisions. No, you're influenced by what you see and hear every day.
That's right.
You're not stronger than what you think you are until you're going through it. And when you're going through it, the decisions that you make are more emotional than what you actually have inside your head that you can process. My kids have never seen me with another woman but their mother. My son is with the same girl that he's been with in the 8th grade, and now he's 20 years old.
Right.
And why do you think that is that? Why? Because that's what he sees every day. That's what he has been brought around. So when I talk to my daughters, when they're going to school and they're in college, I say, you're going to be faced with such and such and such and such and such and such. The pretty boy is coming. The one you think is fine, he coming. Drugs is coming. This is coming. The party is coming. So when they're faced with that, they have the voice of reasoning in their head from their father, from their mother. Most girls had some female in the house.
Right.
Auntie, grandma, mama. Even if they experienced or went through what I went through.
That's right.
There was a female there. That's why the black woman or the woman itself is the backbone of the family.
Right.
Period. Why? That's just what it is.
Right.
That's just what it is.
Right.
So statistically, 80%, brother, of us don't exist.
Yeah, that's and you know, I mean, the obvious conclusion is that there was some type of intentional
Yes.
I don't want to call
Agenda.
it war or whatever you want to call it, agenda on the black man.
It is what it is.
You know, and to that point, listen, I've never asked this question in a conversation before, but I'm still finding my voice. And,
Yes.
And we're growing as a community, and
Yes.
and I'm finding it more. I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, so
Yes.
I'm gonna go there.
Go there.
I'm gonna go there. I'm not trying to make this thing political, but I think it's relevant because of the times that we're in. So I have to ask it, and I'm not taking a political side.
Correct.
But I want to know your opinion as
Yeah.
another one of my brothers and
Sure,
friends.
sure, absolutely.
So you talked about the generational effects.
Yes.
You talked about the decimation of families.
Yes.
The president right now, Joe Biden,
Yes.
when he was a senator in 1994, like he headed the 1994 crime bill. Like he was one of the ones that was pushing that.
Yes.
And that crime bill had a devastating effect on multiple generations.
Yes.
What is your thoughts on that?
My thought process is that it's not something. See, people can have their opinions, my guy. Like they can. You guys can think what you want to think until you are a part of that particular count or that particular number. You have no clue of how it affects your life.
That's right.
You have no clue of how it truly affects your life. We are so passive, my brother, about laws,
Right.
about the so-called officials that we elect. We just think it's, I'm going to vote. 9 times out of 10, you can't tell me not 3 sentences about that individual that you're voting for.
That's right.
I guarantee you that. Why? Because I've done it myself.
Right.
Over and over again. We don't have a clue to what this person likes, what this person is about, what's his agenda, what is his political plan to improve my life.
That's right.
And I'm talking down to your mayor, your councilman, to the governor, to the vice president, to the president, any elected official that's on that ballot that you are voting for. What is their agenda?
That's
and
right.
I guarantee you 95% of the individuals cannot tell you that.
Right.
And you think that this is circumstantial, that these type of bills don't affect people's lives?
Right.
Do you think that that's just hypothetical, that they're voting this way and they don't have an agenda for what they're actually putting these laws in place for?
Right.
Come on, man. Come on. Look at the statistics. Look at what happened when these bills go into place.
That's
when
right.
these laws are actually established, look what happens to the bottom line of the people. People don't see that. You only see it when it affects your family.
That's right.
You will see it when it affects someone you love.
That's right.
And then when you go to peeling back like we're peeling, and you find out the root of it, it say, that law eliminated a chance for me to have a better situation because that law exists, and it eliminated me the opportunity to fight it.
And it eliminated the opportunities for so many of us. And we got to start asking these questions. And this is not a political agenda, nor
No.
do I have one. We're not endorsing anyone, but we got to ask those questions because it was 30 years ago that the 1994 crime bill was passed. And we know some of the actors that were involved in crafting that legislation.
Correct.
And 30 years later, some of those same actors they are in a position, and they have been in a position for many years, but we know one of them in particular has been in a position for at least the last 3 years since he's been in office to try and undo some of the effect. And you could never undo it, but what you can do is to at least acknowledge that that was a mistake. And if it was really a mistake, I've been told, because I've done a lot of things as a young man
Correct.
with a lack of knowledge, a lack of the proper way to be a good husband.
Correct.
And one thing that I learned is that you can say whatever you want out your mouth, but if you say you're sorry, then you got to show that you're sorry. You can only show that by your actions, and your actions have to be improved actions, for over a period of time.
Correct.
So I would say, before we get behind any particular position in life,
Yes.
we've got to know how it's going to affect us. And if someone says they're sorry, then they've got to show that they're sorry based on their actions. And that's just where I am with that, because I've been thinking about this for some time. Every individual that we know that has been incarcerated was affected by that 1994 crime bill.
Facts.
And 30 years later, it doesn't seem that anyone has done enough to try and start to dismantle that crime bill. You know, but all of these candidates are looking for our vote on one side or another. You choose whoever you want to support and what you want to get behind.
That's
but
right.
I know that I've been affected by it. You've been affected
That's
by
right.
it. Our children have been affected by it, and people are still being affected by it.
You know how they look at it? How does society look at that? Oh, he's a criminal. He's a criminal. He should get what he has
That's
coming
right.
to him.
That's right.
That's how they look at that. They don't look at it as what most people will look at it. They just say, oh, he did that. He should get what's coming to him. Really? So who's the real criminal here? So if they did what they did, that's affecting the lives of people. What's their how are they being reprimanded?
Right.
How they're not accountable for what they did. The one thing that me and you had to do, without a shadow of a doubt, is stand and be accountable for what we did.
Accountable for our actions. That's what they tell you.
Period. You have to say, hey, I such and such am accountable for what I'm doing, Your Honor, and I take full responsibility of my actions.
Accept your responsibility.
Accept your responsibility. Let's put that across the board.
Right.
Let's put that across the board.
That's right.
Right? As a father, as a husband, anytime I'm wrong, I have to be accountable for my actions.
That's right. And that's what we want our children to do.
That's what we want them to do. We
and
want
that's what
them to
makes them a
stand.
man or a woman.
But they say, the youth say now, stand on business.
Stand on business.
Stand on business. Let's be a part of let's do what we say we are doing, and let's be what we are.
That's right.
That's just what it is.
That's right.
And it's a quote unquote thing going around now that this is the year of exposure.
Right.
Everything is being exposed.
And so
now.
we exposing them.
Exposing it. The music industry is about to go through the biggest upside down that it's ever experienced.
That's right.
Ever experienced. I remember growing up, I came here, and you know this, I'm an entertainer. I'm a singer.
Right. And no question.
That's how I survived in prison.
Right.
Being able to use my voice vocally and give somebody some type of a freedom, a mindset, just being able to sing a song that they may enjoy.
That's right.
All right? Period. And I was telling a good friend of mine, we was talking about this the other day. Because I grew up in when I came to Atlanta, it was the LaFace era. It was all of these things, Outkast,
L.A. Reid,
all
Usher.
of those things. You know, I was in a contest with Usher to get that contract with LaFace Records. We tied with Usher.
Wow.
This is a fact. Look it up. We was dealing with Dallas Austin's brother, Claude Austin, who passed away.
I already know.
Yeah,
I know.
We tied with Usher, right?
Wow.
So I say this to say that, and we was talking about this, and cause back then it was about making it. It was all about getting an opportunity to do this thing.
That's right.
And we was talking and say, man, if we would have made it then, and then I think about it, I say, brother, we did make it. Look at their lives.
Right.
Look at what they're going through.
Right.
I did make it.
Yeah.
I did make it, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I made it so that my son will have a better opportunity because now I took in the information.
I was just having a conversation. I maybe with my son the other day. I don't remember. I think it was my son, and I was saying, listen, man, for many years, a lot of people look at some of these people and they're billionaires or they've got hundreds of millions and they've got the so-called fame, and you look on the outside, you're thinking they live in such a great life. I said, how many of us would want to trade places with P. Diddy right now?
Not
how
one.
many of us would want to trade places with R. Kelly?
One. But you think that they made it. They didn't make it, man.
That's right.
You don't know the sacrifices that they had to go through.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? They lived a certain way in the quote unquote eye of the man, and we glorify that because we thought that was identifying as making it. You know what making it is? Making it is me dying 90-something years old with my kids around
That's right.
me. That's
longevity
making it, man.
Of days.
That's
Getting
it.
the blessing of longevity of days.
That's making it, man. And I'm happy.
That's right.
And I can wake up each and every day and I can walk outside healthy. That's making it.
That's right.
Not this quote unquote thing that we glorify as individuals. No.
That's right.
No. Your success of what you do in your life is not identified as you making it.
That's right.
Who life has you changed?
That's right.
Who life have you changed?
How many people have you impacted in a positive way?
In a positive way. One of the brothers told me, say, man, how you gonna be productive? What are you gonna do productive? What you gonna do? And we're talking about all of these bills and the incarceration and how the law has put us where we were in certain situations, I'm not glorifying what we did, brother.
Not at all.
I'm not saying that what I did, I should not be accountable for it. I'm just saying everybody needs to be accountable for what they do.
This is the age of exposure and accountability. And I'm going to say this last thing, and I'm going to leave the political thing alone. But, I'm going to say that we as a people, all of us, Americans, human beings, we can no longer get behind a certain candidate just because of the color of their skin, or get behind this person because because it's a woman, or because she's black, or get behind this guy because you're a Democrat or Republican, or this person was friends with Obama. What are you doing to be accountable for your actions? If you crafted a bill that impacted the lives of so many people that are still impacting them today, and you say you have grown from that, and you are sorry for that, we want to know. We're listening. What are you doing to try and unravel some of the hurt and the destruction and the pain that very bill has caused on probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions,
Absolutely.
of people in the last 30 years?
And listen, family, and I got to say this from the heart. I want you to listen to me. Just like when you go to work every day, you have to earn income. Just like when you're in a relationship, that person has to earn your trust, earn your love. Make our politicians earn that too. Make them earn your vote. Know what they're about. Know who they are. Make them earn that. Not by what they say, but by what they do. And we never look at it that way. We never see it that way. Please make them earn it. And then you will see a change. We may not see it immediately, but it will change.
That's right. There's something going back to what Jermaine said earlier, and we was talking about, in prison, people can be whoever they want to be.
Facts.
But they're going to get exposed after a while because jokers say whatever they want out of their mouth. Just like these politicians. They say a lot out of their mouths, but you got to stand on business. Mm-hmm. Because we watching and we listening, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, you do.
Jermaine, I want to go back to the mindset thing. We were incarcerated in our minds before we even knew it.
Correct.
When we were younger. That's how you and I both landed.
Correct.
In prison.
Correct.
And what were you actually doing though that landed you in prison?
Couple of things, man. When I got here, I was exposed to white collar crime. And that's something that I'm working on as far as a movie and a book as well. And it's going to be called Under the Radar. But white collar crime, man, it is just as big as selling dope or doing anything else. It provides the lavish income and anything else that you want to do. Okay. When I was caught, and it's so crazy because I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember it like it was yesterday.
I believe it.
Bro, I was at a hotel with about 13 credit cards in my hand, and I'm just checking the balances of them. You got to understand, the system changed because of that time frame. I'm not going to say that we changed it, but I guarantee you the people that I was associated with, right. The system changed. You could not. Why do you think chips came out? You get what I'm saying?
Tell me why.
Chips came out because we had the
chips in the car.
The chips in the car. We had the ability to go right to the ATM and check your balance and pull the money out. I ain't have to go to the store to buy nothing. What I want to buy? I don't want to buy nothing. That was an old school thing. That thing had time. That had came and gone. We going right to the ATM and get money. That's what we're doing, bro.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And whatever you
right.
allow me to get, I'm getting.
Right.
And when I'm finished with this 13, guess what? My guys are going to send me another 20.
Wow.
And then another 30. And this.
Cards.
Wow,
okay.
And they putting the information. I may have a Kroger card, but they got the information of your bank account on that Kroger card.
Okay, gotcha.
It was just that simple. And like I said, I'm not glorifying it. This is what I did. I stand on my truth, brother. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not naive of what I done.
Right.
I stand on it. This is what I did, and I accept it, and I paid for it. So I can talk about it. Why? Because I've released that from me. I'm not embarrassed of what I've done. This is what I did to try to get me some money. I'm at the ATM, and I'm taking out money. I'm checking. I'm writing down the receipts because I got runners. I know how much money is in that account. I know who I'm getting it to, and you go take the money out, brother.
Right.
And you give me my percentage, you get yours. I pay my people. We keep it moving.
Right.
And that's how it was. That's how it was. And brother, I'm checking the balances and writing them down at the hotel, and I'll never forget this. One of the ladies that cleans up in the hotel, who I knew because I've been there plenty of times. I had a room there for 3 months because that's how we worked.
Right.
My guy come there, get everything, get it to me. She's walking past me and her energy was off. It's like, what's wrong with her? Right. Not knowing that there's a federal agent sitting on the couch looking at me.
Wow.
I'm unaware of it. Don't even know. Right?
Right.
I turn around, it's at least 13 cops.
Wow.
That arrested me. And the guy said, you know what, man? If you would have never came to this ATM today, we probably would have never caught you. They had pinged that ATM because of fraudulent activity.
Okay.
But
that particular ATM.
we're creatures of habitat. We always be in the same areas, like the federal agent told me. Yeah, it's easy to catch individuals because they're gonna be in the same area that they know. They're gonna do within the same. You're gonna be around what you know. You're gonna do what you do and what you are exposed to every day.
Right, because we're humans. We're creatures of habit.
That's creatures of habit, and that's their MO. That's how they catch us. And when I turned around and that happened, man, my heart dropped, man, because I didn't know. I had no knowledge of what I had done. I had no knowledge of the law. You know, a smart man would have already had an attorney paid for with the money that I was making.
Right.
A smart man would already knew the laws that I was breaking before I even did the crime.
Right.
A smart man, a man who would have thought about this.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I would have already knew, I'm going to be facing this.
That's
and
right.
you know what I'm saying? I would have knew my risk factor. No. I was already in prison, brother.
Right.
I wasn't thinking about that.
You weren't even thinking about tomorrow. You just thinking about today.
Get this money, man.
Right. Get money.
Get this money. You know what I'm saying? But when they write it up, because you know the feds, they write it up in the paper. Oh, we don't caught the biggest, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Every catch they get
it's the biggest guy ever. He's a credit card guy, blue, blue, blue. We've been looking for him. Yeah. Right. All over. My wife is working at Georgia State, and Georgia State is printing this.
Oh, wow.
And they don't know that I have no idea of whose name or whose account, but Mr. Aldred is taking money from the military, such and such, such. This is the write-up.
Right.
Now I'm worse than I've ever been. I'm garbage to people who respected me.
Right.
All of a sudden, because of what I did with that particular situation. Forget my morals. Forget the person that you knew. Forget the individual that you did dinners with, parties with. I'm no longer that person.
Right.
I'm quote unquote a criminal now.
Right.
That's the identity that we was talking about before.
Right.
And that's what I did, brother.
No, I understand it. And going back to what you said earlier, I like to say, my life is an open book.
Correct.
And the conversations that we have on this platform, like you said, you're not ashamed of what you did.
No.
But nor are you bragging about it or glamorizing it.
At all.
Nothing that we did is meant to be glamorized, but it is what it is. And part of accepting responsibility is being able to, understand that, okay, I did this and it was wrong. And a lot of this was done out of ignorance, not making any excuses. But not only are we trying to expose, or we are exposing others for their faults, but we're exposing ourselves too, because we can speak about it in a true fashion and say, listen, we lived this type of lifestyle, but it was a dead end lifestyle. And that's why we can talk about it openly and talk about, okay, we did that then, but what are we doing now?
That's right.
What are we doing now differently?
That's right.
Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that. Oh, brother, I'm really glad you said that. Because I'm gonna say this, and I know I'm speaking to a lot of men who came home. First time I came home. Some of my guys who were on the docket who never went to prison, because everybody, you told on this, you're gonna tell on that. But not one of y'all went to prison.
Right.
I got 26 people on my docket. Not one of y'all did one day in prison.
Right.
But you was worried before I went in because you thinking, oh, he gonna snitch, he gonna do this, he gonna do that. Look the paperwork, baby. It's public. It's public.
Right.
Look it up.
Let's have a paperwork party.
That's right. You know how this go, baby. You know how this go. So, coming home, I never forget this. Now all my guys, he back. Let's get them some money.
It's on.
It's on. What? Are you serious right now? I missed that. That went over my head.
Right.
Oh, we finna get to some money, man. Fly back.
Right.
Fly is back.
Okay.
Man, I killed Jay Fly in prison. He don't exist
Talk to that.
anymore.
Right.
He's not the same person, brother. You don't know what I went through. No, he does not exist. And that's the first misunderstanding that most people think. When somebody comes home that they're gonna get right back to it. Let's get right back to it, man. Let's go to getting this money. I know, hey, man, what happened to you, man? Hey, man, we got such and such going on now. Let's do this. Let me look at this. Let me see what you got going. What you think about this? You know what I told him? Oh, you're going to prison.
Right.
You're going to jail. That's what I think.
Yes.
You're going to jail,
Right.
my friend.
Joker, let me prepare
Let me
you for
go
what
on
it's
and,
going to be
hey,
like.
go on and pay for your lawyer now.
I'm going to keep money on your books.
Yeah,
Don't
I
even
got
worry
you.
about it.
I got
you didn't
you.
keep none on mine, but I'll keep some
I
on yours.
got you, brother.
Right.
I got
now,
you.
I'm going to be working a regular job, so it might not be much, but I'll do what I can.
There you go. There you go.
Let me ask you this,
Yes.
Jermaine. When you were in that courtroom and you got sentenced to 78 months,
Yes.
what were you thinking at that time? And was Fly dead at that time, or how long did it take for Fly to die?
Fly died in prison.
Prison,
He
okay.
died in prison, but
Tell me about
what
that
I'll say
mindset
is
change,
it was changing that mindset, because you got to realize the unique thing about the federal system, or just going through any court proceedings, if you're home or you're on bond, what are you doing? You think you changed?
Right.
You're doing the same shit you was doing when you got locked up.
One of the biggest things that hurt me is getting the bond.
That was, bro, exactly. Getting a bond didn't do anything to me. It didn't
Not at
change
all.
my mindset. It didn't scare me.
Nah, I thought I was gonna beat the case.
I thought, you know what scared me? Bump!
Right.
78 months.
Right.
Oh my God, 78 months.
How many did he just say?
Huh? Is he talking to the right person? 78 months? Are
Right.
you serious right now? Okay. Quote unquote, we know, me and you know, when you get in, it's people got way more time than that.
That's right.
So
That was humbling.
don't think that, that's a lot of time. And when I went back, because they take you back, they fingerprint you, and you do all the little things that you do, and then they let you go because you have to turn yourself in, because I'm on a white collar. I'm not a threat
Right.
to leaving or fleeing. But even though the prosecutor say, hey, he don't need but a phone. That's all he needs to commit a crime. He don't need nothing but a phone.
Wow.
We need to incarcerate him and do not give him a bond, Your Honor. But my family structure, I was with my wife in the house with the kids. There was no amazing lifestyle that I was living at the time that made them think I was such a high priority on their docket. So, which was a mistake on their behalf, because what did I do? I'm still doing criminal activity.
Right.
I'm still Fly, J Fly. I had an office at Magic City. Office, baby. That's where we met for lunch.
Right.
Had some of the best
I got
food
you.
ever
Right.
back then.
Yeah.
The Gentleman's Club, and I can go down go down that road.
Yeah, that brings back memories.
Exactly.
Some of the strip clubs in Atlanta were perfect meeting spots.
Perfect meeting
For
spot
lunch.
for lunch. Mhm. You get what I'm saying?
And business meetings.
And business meetings. So that didn't change the mindset. Clap, 78 months. He walks me back there and said, man, prison is different. Jail was harder than prison was, to be honest with
It's a
you.
concrete jungle. People don't
Man,
understand.
listen, man.
Give me the prison.
Give me to prison all day long.
Yeah.
Get me out of jail.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for slime.
Jail's a nightmare.
That's a nightmare,
Putting
bro.
you in there with people with no classifications.
Bro,
it's
and
just
you're
crazy.
locked down 23 hours a day. Come on, brother. That's not human. That's for no man.
Right.
No man. So the process of killing Fly started when that gavel hit. Bam. Took me 3 years before I actually had to turn myself in, because there's time barriers
wow,
of
okay.
actually
Yeah, that was a long
going through the
time.
case, and then once you get sentenced, and then you actually get another eye dropper was when you get that letter in the mail from the post office, and it gives you the date and the time to report to prison.
Wow.
So, these are my realities. I don't know how others was, but this was my reality.
Right.
So
that's all you can speak on.
That's all I can speak on. But when I saw that letter, when that gavel hit, and then later on when that letter came, it started soaking in. Hey man, this is really happening. You can't run from this, brother. You can't go shake high. You can't. You can't.
Right.
You ain't got enough money.
Right.
You know what I mean? You ain't got enough money.
Right.
And
talk about that reality.
That reality, man. It hit. It's like, oh my God.
You're gonna have to do this time.
You got to do this, brother. I had no idea how I was gonna do it. I had no idea, but I wasn't no punk. I'm a man.
Right.
I stand on that. So it is what it is. I'm born, raised South Florida, man. That's what we bought that life.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
But man, you have no clue until you actually go through it.
Right.
So that was it, man. Like, it was just setting that up. Digesting that, eating that food.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Processing that meal. Knowing you got to go do this time, man.
Yeah.
How you gonna do it?
You're gonna come out bitter or better.
That's when I started killing J-Fly.
Okay.
That's when it started. The day that I walked into that Montgomery Air Force Base, I started preparing his funeral. That's what's up. You know what I mean? Because I said at this time, I'm 35, 37 years old, somewhere in that area. And I'm like, look, man, how I get this at this age and making these mistakes? At this age, I should be set. Feet should be on the ground. Should have some stability in my life. I'm 37 years old. What are we doing?
Right.
You're still in the mindset of a child.
Right. I got a family.
But I'm still in the mindset of going to the clubs and smoking and throwing up the bottles and throwing money away like it's easy to get.
Right.
Prison mindset before you even in prison.
That's right.
A lot of guys in prison right now, they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a clue.
There's more people in mental prisons than physically incarcerated.
This is a fact, brother.
Right.
This is a fact.
How did that affect your family when you had to leave? Your children, your wife?
The positive and the negatives, I'll give you both.
Okay.
On the negative side, as a man, brother, I shed many tears at night.
No question.
Because I remember a certain time, and I had conversations with friends, and before I went in, I had a club with a good friend of mine, Peter Thomas, Housewives.
Peter Thomas. Okay, okay.
Peter's a good. I had a club called Uptown with Peter, and Peter knows this story. Peter knew I was, the day before I went, actually the day I was going to turn myself in, I went and had a conversation with him, and I just said, Peter, man, just look after my son, man. And whatever he did, he did. Whatever he didn't do, he do. I can't hold him accountable for that. I still love the brother. I wish him the best in any endeavors that he has going on. I wish nothing bad or no eerie feelings, because my life is my life.
Right.
So I don't point the fingers of what he didn't do or couldn't do or should have done. But I went to a lot of my friends and I said, man, look, man, just look after my kids, man. Because when I was on the streets, I paid rent for you. I did all of these things. I did a lot for people. And how do you think most guys on the street are glorified in the neighborhood? Because this is what I saw my uncle do. My uncle was a big time drug dealer, and he took care of the community.
Right.
This is how they don't understand how the drug dealer gets glorified. Because why? They're taking care of the community, man.
Right.
They putting food on the table. They paying bills.
The dudes that selling drugs that still had a good heart and had some integrity.
Come on.
And there's a lot of them out there.
A lot of them. The individual is not what they did. That's not the person.
Right.
The person is a wonderful person with a great heart, right?
They don't have as many options because they don't have the proper exposure.
would have been great businessmen if they had the right business model for them to make money off of.
That's right. And a lot of very successful people and a lot of corporations, well, not a lot, but enough people are starting to realize, and they've made those statements, and it doesn't matter how they try and make us to be a monster, or they try and dehumanize us and look at us like we're a terrible individual because we happen to have been incarcerated. I would say that the smart ones understand that if you get someone that's been through that experience, when they come out, you really have untapped, limitless amount of potential. And for the ones that can tap into that and become an ally with someone like that, and to help someone like Jermaine or like myself or like so many of us, you're gonna have an edge over the competition because you tapping into something, a part of the society that has unrealized potential.
Yes, right.
And that a lot of people are not recognizing this and giving individuals like that the opportunity to be able to to become a part of the success. And you could become a part of that success by aligning yourself or becoming an ally or becoming a friend simply just by giving someone the opportunity to prove and to show by their actions.
Yeah. Because just think about it. Most individuals took something and turned it into an empire.
That's right.
Now, what do you think I can do for a Fortune 500 company? If I can take what your product is and tell you how to make it even bigger. Why? Because I have the passion, I have the drive, and I'm looking at something different. I have a different set of lens than you.
That's right.
I have a different set of lens than you.
That's right.
So, and that's what opportunity comes. You label us this. You can label me whatever you want, but I took this, and the federal government saw it.
That's right.
I made an impact that the government said, hey, hold up. So if I was able to take that same mindset, that same mentality, that same business applications and apply it to a company and I'm doing good nature with and take them from here to here, that's what they're missing. That's what they're not tapping into. We have great men, man.
That's right.
Great men and women who did what they did.
That's right.
But look at the statistics of what they did and where they took it from. Yeah, it was dope, or it was white collar, or whatever the case may be. Only crime to me is humanity.
That's right.
When you actually harm somebody.
That's right. Where there's a victim.
That's a crime to me. The bank didn't show up in court.
Right.
I ain't seen not one bank official in my court proceeding.
Right.
Not one.
Right.
Not one. They don't rip that off and kept it moving.
Let me say this, Jermaine, and then I want to get into of course we're winding it down just because of time constraints.
Of course.
And I want to get into our finishing segment. In many ways, the criminal justice system as it is, they continually punish people once they've already, served the time. In theory, they've paid for breaking the law. They've suffered the consequences, and not only them, but so many people beyond that. The people that are, that a lot of times society doesn't think of: the family, the children, the spouses, the parents. But from what I can see, is so many of us, because we can't get a decent job, so many of us end up becoming entrepreneurs and end up doing great things. We're either becoming entrepreneurs or we're pushing our children to become entrepreneurs. A lot of times we're helping them by directing their careers or their businesses. So, in many ways, in a roundabout way, by them trying to hurt us, it's actually making us stronger. And I'll leave that. I want to get into something that we call in and out segments.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask you a few words.
Sure.
And tell me the first thing that comes to mind, or
sure,
what you think of when I say this word.
Absolutely.
Love.
Unconditional.
Okay. Family.
Everything.
Freedom.
Happiness.
Pain.
Doable.
Forgiveness.
Needed.
What's your passion?
Love.
What does in and out mean to you?
In and out means a chance to develop. That's what it means to me. It truly means a chance to develop, man. It's looking at myself from where I was to where I'm at now and smiling. You know, now let me tell you, man, you have to fall in love with who you are. You have to love yourself, man. You cannot love anything without loving who you are. I love me some Jermaine Aldred. I'm in love with that guy.
Nice.
And that's what InNOut is to me. I fell in love with myself. I found things in myself that I didn't know existed. I didn't know I had the passion that I have. I didn't know I had the integrity that I have. I didn't know I had the will. I didn't know I had the strength that I have. So InNOut means love to me because I fell in love with Jermaine Aldred.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. I love it. I really appreciate your passion. I appreciate your honesty, your transparency, being able to share amazing stories with us. I know that a lot of people out there listening, and it's going to make an impact on them. I especially like, what you said about love and falling in love with yourself. Those things are big. I want you to, bring us on out and give some encouraging words. Some lasting words on someone that might be going through it, someone that might have been through it, or somebody that might be getting ready to go through it. And then after that, let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Let us know where they can find you, and close us on out.
Great, man. I'm gonna give you a short story, and I want to share this with you guys to let you understand that it's always bigger than you. I remember when I had my son. Like I said, prison mindset. My wife's out of town. I'm doing what I do. Prison mindset. Wife go out of town, what you do? First thing you do is you go out, you party. You do the stupid stuff.
That's right.
At that same time, my brother, my son is experiencing what is called the crib death. He's dying because my mindset is still in prison. I'm not being accountable. I'm not being a father. As I'm out, my heart says something is wrong. My spirit, something came over me. I rush home. My son is blue. He's blue, my brother. He's blue. I run up to him. I with everything that I see that is life, is gone. And I don't know how to do CPR. I don't know how to do none of these things. And I start trying to blow into his mouth. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a clue. Prison mindset. I walk outside. I hold my son in the air. Father, don't take my son. Now, I'm not saying a miracle happened, that God came and intervened through death. I don't know what happened. But what I do know is when I pulled him down, he coughed in my arms. So I'm telling you guys, do not take life for granted. It can be gone in a heart. Prison does not identify who you are. It is just a step along that journey. When I say love, I fell in love with being in love with who I am because I went through hard trauma things that made me respect life. That made me say, you know what? I ain't gonna live my life like this no more. I wanna be here for them. I just witnessed my son coming back to life in my arms.
Wow.
How dare I take this for granted? How dare I give him the short end of the stick by not being the best father, husband, mentor, leader that I can be? And I want to leave that to the men. If you're going through what we went through, brother, it ain't over. It's the beginning.
That's right.
It's the beginning. The beginning of what? A new you. Embrace it. Fall in love with it. The journey is not over. It's just beginning. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I do motivational speaking, and my motivation is Motivational Wednesday. I'm here to motivate you so I can motivate myself. I'm Jermaine Aldred. You can find me on TikTok. And I want you to understand, man, life is a journey. And don't nobody go through that journey but you. Do it with integrity. Do it with character. Do it with passion. And you'll see how much enjoyment it really is.
Wow. All right. Once again, we appreciate everybody for tuning in with us at InNOut, INNOUTWW. We had a beautiful brother that shared his amazing stories with us. He taught us about loving yourself, and we need you to love yourself. He told us that when whatever you're going through, whatever type of pain, whatever type of struggle, whatever type of journey you're going through, it's not the end. It might be the death, or it is the death of the old you, and it's the birth of the new you. This brother didn't say it himself, but he basically alluded to it. He witnessed God saving his son in his hands when he raised this child up and he gave it all up. The mindset change was beginning to happen at that moment when he realized that Jermaine Aldred couldn't do it himself. Like so many of us think that we can do it ourselves, and we try and take these things into our own hands. But what we need you to do, brothers and sisters out there, is to always remember that no matter what you're going through, the book is not over. The new chapters are being written every day. You've got to make that determination. We want you to keep checking us out. We appreciate you for checking us out. You know where to find us at INNOUTWW. That's InNOut, hosted by Eric Geralt, your host. We appreciate you for tuning in. And now we're out.